Hey team. So I'm doing a blog today. I might do a few actually. I'm feeling like I'm on a roll. But the blog today that I want to do about this one specifically, it might not be one of my more positive vlogs, but I want to talk about something and um, point something out that to me is pretty glaringly obvious. And it's funny, so many different generations will say that there's no more common sense today. But what is common sense for one generation is not common sense for another, but what is common sense for them is not common sense for the older generations, vice versa. But this is pretty important, very important topic that I want to talk about, is that with all the things that are going on in the world today, and there's lots of good things going on, but with everything going on, when we look at looking at ISIS, looking at terror, looking at war, looking at nuclear weapons and armies, and all the fear that exists around that, and fear of others, and fear of strangers, and fear of people that aren't our friends and family or aren't in our close circle. We often create what we fear. So if we continue off, and I mean that there's a good thing, and sometimes you have to create what you fear in order to realize that you are very capable of overcoming your fears. But it seems like, the fear of war, the fear of a lot of big things, those aren't necessarily fears that we want to be creating. I sure don't want to be creating that. And I just hope to point out how our actions, our day-to-day actions, can be connected to these things. Because, a lot of the problems, the large, big problems that seem like they're too big for any of us to handle and seem very overwhelming, can be resolved with little actions. And, this goes to being environmentally conscious, being socially conscious, paying attention to where you put your money, what you spend your money on, where you put your dollars, what you do with your garbage, with your trash, how you talk to other people. It's a ripple effect, and it grows. But I specifically want to talk to especially mental health and mental illness. There's a lot of talk about it nowadays, whether it's because, as science expands, as psychology expands, and we have more labels to put on people, the group that we label as mentally ill or grows. Whether things weren't talked about before, things are talked about now. So now people can open up about how they're feeling mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And it seems like there's more problems or people dealing with issues. But ultimately, we're just, I think it's representative of suffering. If the Buddhist term for maybe not being optimal, not as happy as we can, not as loving as we can, not as wonderful as we all can be. It's a state of mind, our suffering. But so sorry, I'm getting off track there. But I want to make the connection between what we're seeing, wars, and how we treat those around us. And that segregation is a problem. Segregation of people into groups, putting prisoners in prison, putting old people in old homes, putting sick people in hospitals with a bunch of other sick people. The divide between rich and poor. And even walking away from people that are negative. I'm not saying surround yourself with lots of people who are sick. I'm not saying surround yourself with tons of people who are, who have convicted crimes. But I'm also saying that we shouldn't be segregating them and just putting people into their labels and into their groups. That our communities need to be integrative, and our communities need to be open and understanding and non-judgmental. We say those people who are striving for greater things, who are striving to be better people, who are striving for more wealth, for more whatever it is they're striving after, they tend to do so by surrounding themselves with, there's a saying, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And so we go off and we surround ourselves with better people. But then the same goes for the old people in old folks' homes and prisoners and the uneducated. And how are they supposed to be rehabilitated, supposed to find optimal life when it's the 80-20 rule, almost like, yeah, okay, spend 80% of your time around people who make you happy, who make you better, who uplift you, but don't ignore, walk away from, and forget that other 20% of people. And I'm not saying, I'm trying to make a point here, because old people in an old home, at least 80% of the other people there are old people. Maybe there's 20% of people working there. And instead of being integrated into the community and surrounded by everyone else and having life around them, incorporating nurseries and daycares with old people, allowing kids, young kids who are 3, 4, 5 years old, who know how to work tablets, helping them teach grandma or another, an elderly person how to use their tablet so they can stay in touch with their kids and their community and their family and actually reap the benefits of what the internet has to offer. Let's do that. Prisoners, mentally ill people, instead of putting them into an asylum. And okay, another point that I have to make. Schools, hospitals, prisons, elderly homes, they all look the same. They're big, concrete buildings. And I mean, it's probably a result of us trying to do our best with what we have. But the environment in which we educate, in which we take care of the sick, in which we take care of the old, in which we take care of the mentally ill, that needs to be changed, because no one is going to get better in that type of setting. If I were to take you and put you into a cell block or put you into a big concrete room with a bunch of other people who are experiencing the same problems as you, you're not going to get better. You're not going to be the person you want to be. When you're having a problem of any sort, you go to someone who maybe has had that problem, but can show you the other side, is showing you the successful side. Like, yeah, I was there, but look at me now. This is where I am now. Not, yeah, I'm here too. And everyone gets to sit together and vent together and talk about why they ended up there and, simply just reinforce their ideology of themselves. And, they don't see the change. They don't see the possibility of change. Anyway, now I feel like I've sort of brought up a couple different points that I hadn't even really thought of before I started doing this. But what I really wanted to point out was that no wonder we have wars. No wonder we have ISIS. No wonder we have people killing each other. Because we have large groups of people in the world who are completely segregated, who are uneducated, who are angry. And you have to face these people. Killing these people, I mean, it's not the solution I would choose. You can't fear these people, first of all. You have to be open. You have to be understanding. You have to be accepting. And you have to take these people in. Not just the nice, happy, good people, but the other people too. You know, people watch the shows such as The Living Dead. We watch, I Am Legend, the movie isn't the best example, but, these zombies, these apocalypse movies, and people fear this is happening. Well, do you not see how that could happen when you segregate, when you don't take care of your own people, when you don't help people become better, become their best selves, when you just, see people who, they're angry, they're pissed off, they do things that are not socially acceptable, and then we segregate them, and we don't give them love, and we don't give them acceptance, and we tell them they're wrong, and we tell them they're horrible, and we push them away. What do you expect to happen? To me, movies are created, and oftentimes they inspire us as to what could be. But then there's movies that sort of play on our fears. And ultimately, I believe every single movie we watch, there's a truth in it. It's representative of the moment. It's representative of what can be, what could come. And I believe instead of simply watching these movies and being entertained by them, we should actually take some pointers from them and go, hey, wait a second, this could happen. And this is why this could happen. So let's deal with this. Anyway, I had to point that out because to me, it just seems obvious, all these large issues, ISIS, war, but people are sitting at home watching the Walking Dead, and they, are cutting themselves off or shunning people out of their lives, people who they don't deem deserve their time or their respect or their love. And I don't know. I think, sometimes I can be a bit too serious, and I'm definitely no comedian who can bring these points to light in a comedic view and, sort of have you laughing at the end of it. That was, one of my thoughts. So I'm sharing it today.